Yesterday, the Prime Minister said, let's start getting back to work. But at the taxpayer-funded ABC, where not a single person's yet lost a dollar there, this is what hysterical presenters like Jonathan Green claim he actually said. Some of you will have to die. What a clown. No one has to die. Infections may rise, that's true, but the key now is to protect those most likely to die. A quarter of our deaths have been of people in nursing homes. Half the dead were aged 80 or older. Plus, given that just 96 Australians have died from this virus over the last couple of months, your chances of dying, particularly if you're under 65, are actually very small if you take basic precautions. And to be frank, if we are going to start living normally again, we are going to have to accept the risk of dying from coronavirus, just as we already accept the risk of dying every time we step into a car to go to work or play a contact sport or work on our tan under the hot sun or put some extra salt on our hot chips. Everything comes with a risk. But there is so much misinformation and fear-mongering, deliberate fear-mongering around. I mean, you take US President Donald Trump. He wants you to hate and fear China. He wants you to think that this virus escaped from a Chinese laboratory, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which does do research on bat viruses.
Have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And what gives you a high degree of confidence that this originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I can't tell you that. I'm not allowed to tell you that.
Well, in fact, this diversion suits Donald Trump, but it's unlikely this virus did escape from that laboratory. The truth is actually more interesting, and it may be more comforting, actually, too, for people thinking, oh, we're all going to die. Thinking of you, Jonathan Green. First of all, virologists, like several in Nature magazine, say this COVID-19 virus, also known as SARS-CoV-2, was not constructed in the laboratory or manipulated by genetic engineering. Doesn't mean to say it wasn't kept there, but anyway, one of these experts, Professor Eddie Holmes of Sydney University, says this looks like a bat virus that somehow jumped to another species, changed, and then jumped to humans, just as we saw with the SARS virus.
I think the real warning alarm bell was SARS in 2003. And it's a very analogous situation to here. So in SARS, what happened was, again, it was a bat virus. We think the bat then passed the virus to an animal called a civet, it's kind of cat-like animal, then from civet into a human. Again, maybe in a market situation. So SARS should have told us then that we need to reduce our exposure to these wild animals in market settings and kind of wildlife trade. That's what we should have done. What we should have also have done is started to make what's called cross-protective vaccines or universal vaccines, like the one they're proposing for influenza. And those vaccines should be made for all the types of viruses we think can jump from animals to humans, like coronavirus.
Good sense, and we should have had more protection gear and sanitizers outside shops and all that kind of stuff ready to go for, well, what we've got now. But even more interesting is that it seems this virus may have spread much earlier than we thought and infected more people, which is actually better news than it sounds. A team at Cambridge University took virus samples from around the world and reckons there are 3 types of this virus now in humans. There's the first type, or parent type, type A, which then mutated to type B, and then that mutated into type C. And that parent type, the first one, A, actually started, I think, 800 kilometres from Wuhan in Guangdong, which is the bats that started all this. And by the time it got to Wuhan, it had mutated to type B. That's what most people in Wuhan actually got, and what we got here. That kind of mutating takes time. So this study says that this virus may have mutated into its final human-efficient form months ago, stayed inside a bat or some other animal, and then started infecting humans between, they think, September 13 and December 7. In other words, this virus could have been around for up to 3 months before China noticed and registered its first official case. What's more, it could have got to Europe faster than we've thought as well. Now, Europe registered its first case in January. But now a prominent French doctor, Yves Cohen, says that his hospital retested swabs from a patient treated in December for suspected pneumonia, and those swabs tested positive for COVID-19, which, if true, if confirmed, means that this virus got to Europe at least a month before the first official case. So, how early did it get to Australia? How many of us were infected and then recovered before anyone noticed? Which makes me wonder, by the way, when will our government start testing for antibodies with the 1.5 million test kits they've so far bought? That could tell us a very interesting story about how dangerous this virus truly is, or is not.